And I'm just tired of that. I'm sick to death of that type of heroine. It could be. It could be. Again, I don't know. I'm just theorizing. I have no idea. The specific thing about her writing style that I can't get past, that just grinds my gears and makes it feel like nails on a chalkboard when I'm reading her books. I really feel like they stand apart in historical romance because they bring so much yearning and longing, and he kind of just like through the air just traces, it doesn't actually touch her, traces just like the curve of her spine, and she catches him, and it's just like
creepers left to rise, buzz like crazy. Everybody's trying to stimulate it. Spiders in the mirror and things can't be right. Back to the scene of a Friday night, to a blessed collision, still frozen tight. Spill drink as Cupid and the sound of her first chime. And why did you argue? We're dreaming of those eyes, the best part of my life. Love, babe, the world don't make a sound, the clock won't turn around. Ooh, you turn around through 1,000 little fires, and ooh, you circle is spreading around from Mars. Keep your belly high with your pace, slowing things down when I wanted to race, catching up again when you try to chase.
hello my friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Welcome to another weekly reading vlog. Today I'm kind of starting this a day later. Yesterday I finished filming last week's reading vlog, and I was gonna start a new reading vlog like right after that, and then I just got busy. I honestly, like, after I had filmed that clip, I was like, I need to get started working. And so I just didn't. So here we are, Tuesday, and truth be told, I have started 3 audiobooks, and so far one is kind of sticking, so that's the one I'm going to go with, but I am going to talk about the one that I DNF'd, which is a very popular, very hyped book right now, and another one that I just kind of wasn't vibing with, so I'm going to wait and try that at a different time. So the book that I DNF'd is actually Silver Elite. You may have seen this going around. I feel like everyone is talking about it right now. There is some controversy, and I'm not sure. I feel like some of it is manufactured controversy. Like, I feel like some of it is kind of being turned into a bigger deal than it actually might be. I don't know. I don't know that anyone knows. And I think there are also some legitimate questions about this book. So Silver Elite is a dystopian adult romance, and I honestly used to freaking love dystopian, like YA, when that was a big boom, like around the Divergent time. I actually wrote a dystopian. That's one of the books that I wrote. I never published it. I just wrote it for myself because I love anything dystopian. I love The Walking Dead. I love The Road by Cormac McCarthy. I think there are so many interesting things that you can explore and do in a dystopian world, and I just find it just fascinating. So I was hyped for this. I was very, very hyped for this. And honestly, I did let my expectations get a little high because a few people that I know and I kind of respect their opinion, they really liked this book, and so I thought maybe this will be a hyped book that really works for me. So I gave it a shot. This is a 19-hour long audiobook, and y'all, I truly cannot. I feel like in last week's vlog I read Shield of Sparrows, and that was also a very long audiobook, and don't mind the noise, Wanda's eating dinner over there. It's Tuesday evening when I'm filming this clip, right before my family is going to be coming home, so I thought I would talk to y'all for a minute. I can't do another 19-hour audiobook. I truly just cannot. And especially, well, that's not true, right? I could listen to 19 hours of Kennedy Ryan. I could. And it's not that I have anything against long audiobooks. Like, some of my, like, I'm just looking at Jade Legacy on my little book. Let's see. See? How is that for being awkward? I could have just put a picture in there, but no, I had to show you. Anyway, I absolutely can't do that. If I was really loving this book, oh my gosh, did I forget? Oh my goodness, I am a professional. Don't mind me, I forgot to plug in the microphone. Sorry, I'm not going to edit this out because vlogs are just all about realness. I only edit out like long pauses, or if I really flub my words up, or if I cough or something like that, you know. You're also going to hear Wanda's dog food bowl as she's licking every last scrap. Are you done, ma'am? I think it's gone. I think you got it all. I think you got it all. Do you want to say hi, Wanda? You say hi. Hello. Yeah, you have dog food breath. Okay. Silver Elite. I'm bored. I'm bored to tears, and I cannot be bored. I've had so many great audiobook reads recently, with the exception of Shield of Sparrows, which I was also bored with, that I literally cannot. I am so bored with this one. So I'm just going to talk about my experience reading the book, and then I'm going to briefly talk about the controversy that I've heard. So I just truly don't care about this heroine. I don't care about her. I don't like her. She feels a little bit flat and a little bit wooden. She feels like a very, very stereotypical, even though this is not romantasy, she feels like a stereotypical romantasy heroine who is tough and badass. She's an excellent shot. She was raised by her uncle. She's just, you know, she's desirable for all the men, and I'm just tired of that. I'm sick to death of that type of heroine at this moment. And also sometimes that very stereotypical heroine can work if we get to see a more multifaceted view of her, right? And we're not getting that here. And again, I am only 16% of, I thought it was 14. I'm 16% of the way into the audiobook. I just can't do it anymore because I don't care about her. The world is very not, like, we're getting a lot of flashback scenes of things that happened in the past, but we're not really getting a full picture. And again, I know we're only 16% of the way in, but I really need to know right from the beginning, how did this happen? That's not even entirely true. I don't need to know all of how it happened, but I feel like we need a bit more understanding than what we have of how did the world come to be at this point. Like, I feel like that's such a vital part of a dystopian book. How did we end up here? How did we go from a civilized society to this dystopian world, right? I also feel like another major thing against this is this book feels like it is written scene by scene, and scenes that they think are going to get readers excited and get their attention, scenes that feel, you know, written for tropes. Like, it feels like 50 different tropes in a trench coat. That's what this book feels like. It just feels like it's trying to serve what everybody wants, and it's working, right? It is working because this book is very popular so far. A lot of people really love it. I don't like that approach where it's like a really action-packed scene here, and they don't really feel like they're tied together very well. And I also, like, I just don't feel like I know what the stakes are. And because there are so many action scenes happening so far, and I don't feel connected to the character, I don't understand what is at stake in this world here, and I just sort of feel like I just don't care. I just don't care about this. But the piece-by-piece action sequence scenes in here, I'm just not a fan of. So could this be my mood? Maybe. I mean, I'm listening to the audiobook that I got on Libby right now, but I actually picked this as my book of the month book, so I am getting a physical copy. Funnily enough, they just emailed me and they're like, we're so sorry, but that, we ran into a printer problem with Silverleaf, so your box isn't going to be shipping until like the end of the month. And I'm like, can I just change my mind? Because I don't really want it anymore. I don't know. I really wanted to see what the hype was about this. I wanted to see how I felt about it. And so far, I feel like the writing is serviceable, but it feels very disjointed, and I don't feel like this book has a cohesive reason for being a dystopian. Like, I did see the quote going around where the author was like, I love dystopian books in YA. I wanted to read something like that, but make it spicy. And it is definitely leaning towards spicy dystopian, but it feels very much like just a B-rated action movie in that way, where I just am like, I just don't care. I don't care. When I go into a dystopian, I want to feel like the stakes of this world at the end of times, when society has crucially changed, are so high that I am just invested and riveted, and I want to see how did we, like, again, my big question is, how did society get here? And I don't know. This definitely feels like it is written to the market, and apparently it was successful. So the controversy that I've seen surrounding this is mostly regarding the author, who is a faceless, personless entity. Apparently it's a pen name, I'm sure that it is. But any type of social media presence for this author is lacking. Like, nobody knows who she is. There is no social media presence. This book is published by Del Rey, and the fact that it is an unknown author, if this is a debut, Del Rey has put a ton of money into getting this book out there, which makes me feel like, why would they do that? Why would a major publisher put so much money behind a book that unless they're sure that that is a sure thing, right? So I think a couple of theories that I have seen is that maybe this is an author who has had some controversy surrounding, and again, these are theories, this is just chatter I've heard. Maybe this is an author who has had some controversy surrounding them, and they know they can write a successful story that will sell, and they're trying to just kind of rebrand that, and maybe that's why there's so much publishing dollars behind this, which honestly, that makes a lot of sense to me. or even if there's not controversy surrounding an author, maybe it's an author who wants to branch out and try a different genre, but publishing knows that they sell stories, and so that answers the question of why so much money behind this book to get it out there. Like, that's the big question, right? One that is, I think, a bit more sinister, which concerns me kind of a lot, is some people are saying, well, perhaps this is an AI written or AI assisted written book. And again, like, I feel like for a big publisher like Del Rey to do that, I don't think they would. But the fact that this feels like a personless entity, we don't know anything about this author at all, makes me kind of question that. And the way that the story felt very, like, pieced together. I am not at all well versed on picking out AI writing. I am about AI art. But that would kind of signify to me that it could be. It could be. Again, I don't know. I'm just theorizing. I have no idea. And if I'm wrong, I fully apologize, right? These are just some theories that I've been seeing that I'm like, that could be, you know? Another theory that I've seen is that maybe this is just something that the publisher put together with tropes they knew that would sell, with a story. They had an idea and they gave it to, like, their ghostwriters, who, you know, like James Patterson Presents or something like that. That is a team of ghostwriters publishing under his name because they know that will sell, right? Typically, those are authors who don't have books of their own. They know the basics of writing. They're technically efficient, and, you know, they write as somebody else, ghostwriting, right? And I think that could be the case here as well, especially considering the immense financial success that Fourth Wing has been and other romanticies. So, yeah, it's the fact that, honestly, the fact that I was bored with this, that I didn't feel invested, it was lacking that sense of urgency of why does this dystopian world exist and what's going to happen next, combined with even the hint of possibility, and again, it's a hint, it's a theory, could be 100% wrong, that there could be any AI involved in writing this. Like, I don't care. I don't care to read this. I'm bored. I just don't care. So we're DNFing that one. The other book that I attempted, that I may try again, I don't know if I will this week or not, is The Night and the Moth, the book by Rachel Gillig. This is not out yet when I'm filming this clip. I think it comes out next week. And I honestly love the cover. I have not had great success with this author's previous series. I thought it was just very, very, very average, and I don't understand the hype around it, honestly. I didn't feel like the fantasy world was great. The writing was serviceable, but I just didn't care for it at all. I've talked about it in a couple of videos, but I wanted to give her another try, especially because of how many rave reviews she gets, right? So this is adult fantasy, The Night and the Moth. I started reading it, and initially I was intrigued by the concept. Like, there is an opening scene where a gargoyle is like capturing a moth, and I was sort of like, well, this is different, you know? But then I kind of found myself like tuning the audiobook out. So this one is an audio arc that I got from Libra FM. So I just decided to put that on hold. I may return to it because I do want to give that one a chance for sure. So the other book that I am actually reading that I am the furthest along in is The Duke and Lady Scandal by Christie Carlyle. I'm not super far into this book. This is a historical romance. This was on my April TBR. And this is basically a historical romance inspired by National Treasure. And so far it's been fun. It's been pretty fun. I like this author. I've read her before. So here's hoping that I truly love and enjoy this one. So yeah, that is what I'm reading now. My plans are subject to change because I don't feel like I'm in a reading slump. I'm just trying to find, after the Kennedy Ryan, I'm just trying to find a book that gels with me. And I feel like I'm going to have more success with historical romance than I am with fantasy romance at the moment. And I think that's largely due to the fact that I've had some hits with historical romance and recently I've had some misses with fantasy romance. So we're going to try the Christie Carlyle, and if this one doesn't hold my attention, I have another historical romance on Libby that I will go to next that I'm actually really excited about, but I'm not going to tell you what that is unless I get to it. So that's what we're reading so far. Thank you for joining me for this vlog, and I will talk to y'all in my next clip. Hello my friends, welcome back to the vlog. It's been several days since I updated you. I dyed my hair. I think I had a birthday. I don't think I told you I vlogged since my birthday, and that's been a while, so I apologize. This vlog is kind of gonna be just me wrapping up the books that I read instead of necessarily in the moment. I do have a few updates for you. So the first one is a book that I actually finished. I did finish a historical romance, The Duke and Lady Scandal by Christie Carlyle. So this is her new release. This is, I think this is the third book I've read from this author. And one of the things that I like about her is she usually has a really good, unique setup for her romances and how the hero and heroine are going to get together. And she also has usually a pretty interesting background plot going on. And that's sort of exactly what was happening here. So the premise of this is super fun. It's inspired by National Treasure. We have our heroine, Alexandra Prince, I believe, and she is kind of always been overshadowed by her sisters. She's very smart, she's very outspoken, she kind of does whatever she wants in as much as possible at the time. She's working on a book about pirates, and she is very intrigued with things going on. Like, she's a little bit of she's gonna get into trouble at all times, if at all possible. So she hears somehow this plan, people are going to try and steal the crown jewels. And so she is intrigued with the premise that this could inspire her book and her writing. And so she decides she takes it upon herself to go to Scotland Yard, and she tells Detective Inspector Benedict of this plot that is happening. And that's how they end up meeting. He's immediately intrigued with her. And yeah, they end up, there's some hijinks. I wouldn't call this rom-commy or slapstick at all. I would say this is kind of more adventurous, and I do think that the plot definitely overshadows the romance at some points for me, but overall I felt like this was just an okay read, and this was fun. I gave it 3. I would say this is on the higher end of 3 stars. If you watched my recent vlogs, I read a couple of historicals that also had not quite a great blend of background plot and romance for me, and I think that that's just a really difficult balance to strike with some of these newer historical romances, newer within like the last 5 years or so. So I don't think that the balance here was great. I did really like that it was inspired by National Treasure. I do think there were some good moments once they got together, but the basis of their relationship felt too insta-lovey. We were focused too much on the plot, and there wasn't enough romantic development for the relationship. And again, like, I just feel like that's a really hard balance to strike, and it's pretty rare for an author to get that right for me. So I liked this. I didn't love it. I gave it 3 stars, but the higher end of 3 stars. Let me go change my battery. It's shouting at me it's going to die. Okay, my friends, I am back. So after I finished the Christie Carlyle, I didn't love it. I just have been struggling so much with books that are like 3 stars lately. like, I don't know what my deal is, but like I start a book and I'm like, if it doesn't instantly grab me, and that doesn't have to mean like a lot of action. Like, you guys know if you've watched my vlogs, which if you're watching this, you're someone who watches my vlogs. You're probably not just someone stumbling upon me. If you are, hi, hello. But like, it doesn't have to be like action. It doesn't have to be anything like high intrigue. It just, I keep trying to think about what is it exactly that gets me hooked and invested right from the get-go, because there isn't like a pattern to it necessarily, you know? And so, I don't know. I wasn't sure where to go after the Christie Carlyle. I had such good luck. Honestly, I've read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the 5th historical romance I've read this month. And I've only really, well, I've loved 2 of them. So 2 out of 5 isn't bad, right? I am still in a historical romance mood. However, at the time that I was, at the time when I finished the Christie Carlyle, I still had time to try and read The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig before it came out. It just came out today. I'm late getting this vlog together. It just came out today, and I had an audio arc of that. So I decided that I would try to try and read that by audio again. And like I made sure, okay, so something I have noticed about me with audiobooks is if I am doing a certain type of activity while I'm listening to an audiobook, my mind is more likely to drift. If I'm doing a different type of activity while I'm listening to an audiobook, I'm much more easy to get like zoned into it. And this is so weird. One of the things that always allows me to just really super listen to an audiobook without distractions is doing my makeup. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because like nobody else is around me. I'm not thinking about 10 other things I have to do. I have like a singular task. I have to do my makeup within 20 minutes. You know, like, I don't know, it's weird. So I thought, okay, I know that about myself. I'm going to start this audiobook while I'm doing my makeup and see if I can get into it, if I can get hooked. And you guys, I just could not. So this is it for me with this author. I just don't like her writing style at all. I really, really, really struggle with just her writing style. The specific thing about her writing style that I can't get past, that just grinds my gears and makes it feel like nails on a chalkboard when I'm reading her books, is the way that she literally spells every single thing out for her readers. Every single thing. She leaves nothing up for you to kind of either draw your own conclusions or take what you will from it. She is like hammering you over the head with what she's trying to say. She is an author who does not trust her readers to pick up what she's putting down. And I find that particularly offensive because she does write kind of like dark gothic fantasy, which I feel like by its nature should allow for a good amount of the reader sort of questioning or drawing their own conclusions or having space or time to let those feelings sink in without just being constantly told it to you. And I do believe that's one reason why she's so popular, because I think that for readers who aren't necessarily super experienced, that's the type of reading experience that they're looking for, you know? Readers who have, this does sound elitist and I don't mean it to, but I do feel like readers who have more experience, specifically who maybe have either training or work or practice or by themselves or in a group setting, in a class setting at a university, who have a little bit more practice at drawing conclusions. You know, even somebody like me who's just sitting here talking about books, I take time to think about what is the author saying, what are they trying to say. And one of the things that always makes an author just unreadable for me is when they tell me, and not even by like descriptions or showing me, but when they constantly tell me what is happening, tell it to me without trusting me at all to understand like foreshadowing or hints or anything like that, I find it just unbearable to read. So I DNF'd this quite early on. I don't even know what was happening here other really than a gothic gargoyle and there was a moth. I'm just like, I hate it because her books get so much hype and on paper they should work for me so well, but I can't handle her writing style. I hate the way that she is so over the top, explaining every single thing, every single feeling, every single emotion. Like, I don't care about that. I want to be able to pick that up myself. You don't need to tell me. I'm a smart girl, you know? Anyways, that. So, after two pretty hard misses, Silver Elite and The Night and the Moth, and then one that was just okay, I really felt like, okay, I need something that I know is going to work for me, right? And so my idea was then I have the first audio of the Pennyroyal Green series by Julianne Long. I've read 1 or 2 of the books in that series out of order, but I want to read them all in order. And I love Julianne Long. I love her other series, the Palace of Rogues. I love that series so much. So I thought to myself, maybe I will do that. And then I thought to myself, maybe I will do, like, I had a lot of other historical romances audiobooks that I thought I could try, you know. I have a Laura Lee Gerke that I want to get to. I have an Olivia Parker I want to get to. I have some unknown authors that I want to get to, like unknown to me. These are just kind of like, one of them I have read before. A lot of them I haven't. So I felt like I had a lot of historical romances to choose from. And then I remembered that there is actually a book that I've kind of been holding on to for when I was in a historical romance mood that I haven't read. And I love this series. I love this author. So I decided to go with this, and it is A Heart Sufficient by Nichole Van. So this book, this series is one of my favorite series. This is one of my favorite historical romance authors. She is such a wonderful writer. I love the way that she builds the relationships. Her relationships, I really feel like they stand apart in historical romance because they bring so much yearning and longing, and there's usually such a slow burn. And again, these are closed door romances, but I feel like, honestly, they're better for that because the tension and the character development and the emotional development is so beautifully well done. So this is technically the last book. There is a novella after this in the series. It is The Penleaths of Thistlemuir. So this one is A Heart Sufficient. And I've been holding on to this book for so long because I've been kind of sad to see it end and also scared that it wouldn't live up to the hype because of the people who read her. She doesn't have a huge readership, which I would love to change because, again, like, this is such a talented author, and I feel like if you love historical romance, you have got to try her because she's so good. But her readers are super passionate about her, and this book specifically has been getting so much hype from the time it came out, and it's been out for a while. So I decided to go with this. The audio is fantastic. I am, let's see, how far along am I? I'm a little over halfway into this, and this is literally hitting all of my bells and whistles that I'm looking for in historical romance. So this couple, he actually is the Duke. He's involved. His family is mentioned in book 3 of this series. So it's been so long since I've read the first 3 books in this that I was kind of hazy on, like, how are they connected? So I realize now that he is actually the brother of the heroine of the 3rd book, and he is the Duke, and he has daddy issues. Of course he does. And he's got sort of a vendetta against our heroine, who is Isolde, and his name is Tristan, and they recognize that the story of old, and they're like, are all Tristan and Isoldes meant to be together? Anyway, he is trying to bring down her father. He has a grudge against him, and therefore that grudge kind of translates into her, like, he doesn't like her. So this is very much like enemies to lovers, like, excellently done. And he is the type of guy that is very cold, he's very broody, he's prematurely gray. He's not necessarily like an old guy, but he has this air, plus he's the Duke, he has this air around him that she just finds like so attractive, and she is frustrated with herself because she's attracted to him, she can't stop thinking about him, but he's doing all of this to her family, her father, and everything like that. So anyway, they end up in an arranged marriage for political reasons, and so now I'm at the point where they are finally married, and they are just barely starting to acknowledge the good in each other. And it's just so well done. Like, it's so good. Every single interaction between these two, I feel like hits the perfect balance of enemies and attraction without going over the top really in either way. It just feels like this is the perfect drawn out tension moment that I have just been wanting and living for. I feel like this could be a 6-star read for sure. I love it. And they're also like, I think that something that this author does is she really gives her heroes a lot of personality and distinct differences from the stereotypical hero that we see in historical romances over and over again. And that's something that I've been pretty critical of. I feel like I'm really kind of tired of a very alpha hero who like sleeps around, oh, but she's different, and the reason she's different is because she has some magical cat, you know what I mean by that, right? Magical And that's the one that is going to make him love her, right? So I feel like, and be a changed man. And I'm vastly oversimplifying it, but that's the type of hero that I feel like a lot of historical romance authors just kind of default to. Specifically, I think that is very common. I think it's less common in current historical romances, but it's still there, because I just read The Lorraine Heath this year, and that was one of my major complaints with that book, is that that was exactly what that type of hero is, and that's a hero that she does over and over and over again. And I just find that to be really lacking in substance, and it's not the type of thing that I'm interested in, right? So this guy is, this guy, sorry, I just got a text on my phone and I got distracted. So this hero is interesting because not only is he just so passionate about this hatred that he has for her father and what he perceives he has done, but he has a lot of hatred towards his own father, so he's got a lot of issues with men in his life, right? And there is a very specific scene in here where he's contemplating, like, he's going to be marrying this woman soon, and he doesn't love her, he knows it's not a love match, and he's worried that maybe she's not going to feel the same way about him. Like, maybe she's never going to have feelings for him at all. Maybe they're never going to break through this enemies. They're just going to be this marriage on paper forever. And the thing that I really like about that is that he is the type of man that is not going to, like, pay for sex. And so, like, he recounts this memory that he had with his dad when he turned 16. His dad took him to a brothel and paid for a girl who was about his age to be his first time. And the way he talks about just feeling so disgusted with himself that he paid for sex, and that he was hoping, like, not even just so much that he paid for it, but he was hoping for an experience that was going to kind of meet his emotional needs and not just his physical needs. And he realized that wasn't at all what that was about. And that's when he realized that he never ever again wants to pay for that, because he needs there to be an emotional component. And that's literally the first time I have ever seen or read or heard that talked about in a romance, in a historical romance that I am aware of. I could be wrong. And I just really love that because we're not relying on the hero to be this rake who's either really good in bed or sleeps with a lot of women, and he's a reformed rake, like he's a playboy, like the typical thing we expect from a historical romance hero, or that we have come to expect because that's what we're given. Here instead we have a man who is a very powerful, very striking, very attractive, but very cold duke. And inside, he's craving, like, emotional connection. And he refuses to have sex with anybody unless that emotional connection is present. So now he finds himself married to this woman that he wants physically, and he wants to have an emotional relationship with her, but he feels like she hates him, and it's just, like, it's so beautifully well done. And I am just enjoying this immensely. So I'm going to continue listening to this. I will come back with my final thoughts on this, and then we'll wrap this vlog up. But yeah, this, if you haven't read this author yet, like, I can't recommend her enough, especially if you like the type of book that feels like it's a little bit gradually building, but very satisfying along the way and to the end. Like, this is not the type of author who's going to give you everything on a plate, who's, like, she's the exact opposite of what I was talking about with Rachel Gillig and why I don't like her writing. This is the type of author who shows you things about the characters and never necessarily, like, beats you over the head with it, right? It's just, I really, really love it. So I will come back when I have finished this, and we will talk more about the books then. Well, hello my friends. Welcome back to the vlog. This is the last clip in this vlog. So here I am to tell you about my final thoughts on A Heart Sufficient by Nichole Van. So, I mean, honestly, I told you guys earlier it was probably going to be a 6-star read, and it definitely was. I'm not 100% sure which book is my favorite in the series. I love all of them, but book number 2, Adjacent But Only Just, and book number 4, this one, A Heart Sufficient, are completely my favorites. And it's been so long since I've read Adjacent But Only Just, I'm not sure which one of those is actually my favorite, but this one was so freaking good. This one really, you know, I feel like this is exactly what I've been craving in a historical romance, with, as far as, like, the things that are addressed within the relationship, some other feelings other than, I feel like something that, okay, let's see if I can put this into words. Something that I have felt consistently bored with in current romances that are being published is too often the conflict is very, or not even the conflict, right? Because it's not the conflict about this book that really wowed me so much as it was the exploration of their interior emotions. Like, we are very much in their head a lot. And honestly, I would say for this book, mostly we're in Tristan's head as he's really battling with a lot of feelings of like self-loathing and his yearning and desire for an intimate emotional connection with his wife. That compounded with the very cold front that he puts forward as a protection, you know, and that's not uncommon. That's very common in romance to see that a romantic hero do that. But I feel like she did such a good job here of showing us moments of him being vulnerable and giving us enough of his internal thoughts about he yearns for his wife to love him, to put him first, to not return back to her family. Like, there is a scene in here where I believe they first start to fall in love, where they're shipwrecked and they're on this abandoned island. And, you know, I feel like in so many other historical romances that I've read that have maybe kind of bonkers types of things happen like that, the immediate go-to is, oh, well, they're alone together, now they can have sex, right? And because Tristan had what to him was a very traumatic experience for his first time having sex with someone, he has really held that something sacred to him that he wants to wait for until he feels an emotional connection with somebody. And so this is closed door, but the moment when they actually do consummate their marriage, which is later on in the book, it was so beautiful because you could just see what that meant to him and what it meant to her. And this had a little bit of a flip because she was the one who was more amorous and was the one who was like, you are beautiful, you are attractive, we're married now, let's do this, you know. And he was like, I want to make sure that you love me. Like, I can't do that again. So I just feel like this was just a complete breath of fresh air. This was a complete breath of fresh air. I loved the nuance that the characters had. They're different types of thoughts than what we typically see in romance, because so much of this is about Tristan wanting to be accepted and wanting to be put first in her life instead of her, you know, especially when they are on the island and they start to have feelings for one another. And that's the first time that she sees that really cold facade kind of melt for her. And that's when she first realizes, like, I could fall in love with this man. Because before that, she was very much ready to make a go of this, like, to make the best of it, to have a real, true marriage. But you could also tell that she was doing that as part of, like, her duty and trying to make the best of it situation. But she also didn't really believe that Tristan would be the type of man who would be soft with her, who could be kind with her. Like, she thought she was going to have to deal with this cold personality, like, his whole time. So when they're on the island, there is a good bit of that where she's like, she's dreading going back to reality because she doesn't want to lose this tender version of Tristan that she's met on this island. And it was just, like, it was so romantic. To me, this was such a beautifully romantic book. And when I say that I love books with longing, books where the hero falls first, books with yearning, like, this man wants her love so deeply. He wants to be considered, like, the best person in the world for her. There are so many internal thoughts that he has, little fantasies about their little quiet life and their children maybe, or just her and him kind of talking about their day-to-day. Like, he wants that type of intimacy. And I think that's really refreshing because it's so much more than just physical desire and slaking that physical desire, you know? Like, this is truly about, he yearns for someone to see him, for someone he can have as a true companion. And I don't know, I just adored it. I thought it was so beautifully well done. This author is just amazing. I love this whole series. Highly recommend the whole series. I've talked about these books a lot for the last couple of years on my channel, and, you know, she's not necessarily a fast author, and I kind of hate to see when I'm finished with one of her books, but she is so incredibly talented. She really has a gift with words and storytelling. She gives you, for my taste, she gives you just enough description of what is going on. Like, there are so many moments in here. Like, there's one moment in here when Tristan starts to recognize that he has tender feelings for her, and it's when they're shipwrecked and she has her back turned to him and her dress is all wet and he can see, like, the fragile knobs of her spine, and she asks for help with her, like, with undressing to get the wet clothes off of her, and he kind of just, like, through the air just traces, it doesn't actually touch her, traces just like the curve of her spine, and she catches him, and it's just like, it's such a powerful moment. It's so simple. It's so simple because like he doesn't even touch her, but it's the idea of like this reverence that he has for her, that he wants to just like cherish and worship. It's worshipful. It's worshipful the way that he kind of just like, and I felt like that was so beautifully just described and captured in just a few amount of words. And then also you get to see the heroine's response and the hero's internal thoughts, like perfectly blended, perfectly done. Like I freaking adored this. I literally adored it. I thought it was so amazing. I think these are on Kindle Unlimited. Let me check real quick because if they are, that may motivate a few of you to pick them up sooner. But I can't say enough about this book. This is a top book of the year for me, and I'm so thrilled and ecstatic. Okay, they are on Kindle Unlimited. Yay, I'm so excited. I own them as well, but it does look like they're on Kindle Unlimited. Yeah. So, no excuses, they're on Kindle Unlimited. There is a book 5. This one is 200 pages, so it's a shorter one, and this is about Tristan and Isolde. That's how I always have said it, Isolde. This is about them living their happily ever after their honeymoon. So I don't know, that one I'm excited to read that one too. So yeah, this is another historical romance that I like can't recommend this enough. I thought it was so beautiful. And if you have also been searching for something that feels like deeply romantic and has that element of yearning and longing where he's just so worshipful of her, like, you have got to read this. You have got to read this. It was so good. I loved every single second of it. So yeah, highly recommend this one. 6 stars. Really excited. I just grabbed book 5. I'm gonna read that one. Very thrilled about that. So yeah, actually it looks like I already had it. Did I already buy this? I think I already bought this. I did. How funny. Okay, anyways, thank you so much for coming along on this vlog with me. I hope you all enjoyed this, and sorry about the DNFs and the long gap in vlog updates, but yeah, if you've made it this far, please leave me any type of green leaf or plant. I am looking out at my backyard and all I see is green grass and green trees, and it's a lovely sight. It's a lovely sight. So anyway, thank you, my friends, and I will see you all in my next video.